qualifiers and still a ton of incredible League of Legends left to play. 5 more weeks of games until we have our 4 teams for the promotion tournament lined up and ready to go into that week against some of the best of the NACL. So make sure you stay tuned for the rest of this split, and make sure you know what exactly is going to be happening in that Swiss stage happening this weekend, because we're going to be covering all that and more here tonight.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming up about the second stage of Swiss, but we also have still some games to cover from the previous tournament. So before we get into that, let's take a look at the point situation going into the final week of tournament number 1. The top 4 points earners at this point are all participating in the semifinals, including Aporia, who were granted 20 points despite their quarterfinal loss after the disqualification of Morningstar White.
Yeah, and these top 4 teams here, Winthrop, Ole Miss, Aporia, and Lotus, all have the opportunity to gain up to 40 points over these semifinals and finals for winning the championship, which could be a huge boost. That could be the difference maker in terms of qualifying for that promotion tournament. And once again, the way that promotion ends up working, the winner of this next tournament coming up, plus the next 3 highest point earners. So right now, if somebody else randomly won the qualifier, it'd be Winthrop, Ole Miss, and Aporia, they would be the 4 teams that qualify into the NACL promotion tournament in April.
Yeah, a lot of things at stake here, as the things are only going to heat up as well. And of course, the way that these semifinal matchups do land, as well as that final matchup, can mean a lot as far as championship points moving forward. So let's take a look at the bracket as it stands at this point. We are before the semifinals of the first open qualifier, with on the top side, Aporia up against Lotus. Again, Aporia, despite losing in the quarterfinals, did get a second lease on life due to the situation with Morningstar White at hand. And Lotus, of course, had the upset over BlackRock Esports in the top side of the bracket. In the bottom half was a collegiate slugfest, as Winthrop and Ole Miss were staring down each other after Ole Miss narrowly skated by the upstart Redbirds in the quarterfinals, with Winthrop taking a dominant win over CCG.
Yeah, that matchup between Winthrop and Ole Miss was our match of the week in the last episode of Tier 3 tonight. But first, let's go check out what happened in the other semifinal, with Aporia facing off against Lotus. Lotus, of course, coming off of that big win against BlackRock, and they had a lot of momentum riding with them. However, Aporia, after getting eliminated, already off to the right start. Lynx and Rovex on the Varus lane getting priority and getting an early kill at the 11-minute mark.
Yeah, and they continued to take over as well, Grapes. You can already see on the scoreboard 9-1 in this first game, and a nice disengage. Music gonna keep everybody off Rovex for just long enough, even though he ends up dropping. The cavalry is on their way, and with their lead, look at how strong Music is on this Poppy. He is not to be taken down.
Yeah, Porsche was able to run down Lynx eventually, get a bit of a shutdown there, but unfortunately for Lotus, that was all that they would get in this engage. Music was at 200 HP nearly this entire fight, but had nobody able to take him down, getting a second kill of the game there on the Mixture. As you can see here, Aporia, no signs of stopping. And Lotus, they don't want to fight either. You see Porsche just deciding to split push on the Udyr instead of matching it a 5v5.
I think we've all been there in solo queue, just saying, hey guys, I'm going to try to take a tower, get those objective bounties because it's probably doomed anyway. Lotus, last ditch attempt in the Baron. It is secured, but Music in the pit, going to clean up some kills. The Baron is not enough here in the base defense. Lotus under their Nexus tower is getting gunned down. Aljun can't stand up to anybody, and it's a feudal engage. Mixture, doesn't matter how many members he finds, as the damage follow-up is not there. Aporia taking a dominant win, using their second lease on life. Well, it's a pentakill, by the way, from Lynx in the first one.
One of the best bot laners in the tournament right now. Lynx off to a very hot start, and they're going to continue it here in game number 2. However, did fall a little bit short, as Force and Smolder actually coming in and doing some good work early on, but it was matched pretty quickly after that, with Music coming down with a nice gank on the Nocturne and picking up 2 more kills for his squad.
Yeah, and this game may be a little bit messier. It's a little bit closer. Aporia, they are in the lead, but things going to continue to break down as it's a very scattered fight around the Dragon Force and getting scattered to the wind by Music, and that's one of the big carries down. And the thing about Smolder is that this champion doesn't really have the best early team fighting until he's at those stacks. So after he's down, the rest of Aporia able to collapse, clean up the fight. That is an ace, 5-4-0. And from this point forward, Grapes, the game once again fully in Aporia's control.
Yeah, and even though Lynx, specifically after having the pentakill, you know, a slower start to this game, you can still see he's up in CS, and everybody on Aporia contributing here in this game. Rovex with some fantastic engages. Of course, we have Music looking really well here, and Lawrence going to help out on the Gnar as well, getting that kill onto Porsche. This was a long, extended team fight that Samikin on the way was able to help outside as well. And they're going to continue fighting a little bit more. Frost goes down, and they're going to chase Aljun all the way to Oblivion.
Yeah, and Lawrence, he wants to kill. He's going to try to get Aljun, and wait a minute. It's getting a little spicy. He's able to take him down, and okay, we're going to do the tier 2 tower. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Mixture's back up. This might be bad. Getting Dredge line up. Gonna die. That is going to be a shutdown going over to the Smolder. You don't like to see that. However, it is Aporia still securing the Baron and Grapes. They're up 15,000 gold.
Yeah, game went a little bit longer, potentially. There are more kills for Lotus, but all dominance, all the same. A huge engage from Rovex will get Lynx himself a triple kill, and that'll be the last fight here of the game. A 2-0 victory for Aporia after getting eliminated in that quarterfinal matchup. I don't know if I was expecting this specifically, Hawk, but they looked very good in both of their games.
Yeah, honestly, I think when we came into this matchup, we were expecting it to be really close between both these teams. Again, Aporia did not look honestly that great for most of the rest of the tournament. They also went down 0-2 to Winthrop in the group stage as well to go into the lower bracket. So up against this Lotus team, I thought we were expecting a pretty competitive matchup, but clearly Music and Co said no. I mean, Music in particular going deathless in this semifinal series.
Excellent play all around for them. Second straight finals for Rovex and Lawrence, who were on Coachify back in the summer split of 2023. They made it all the way to top 2 in that last tournament, and they are once again in the finals here. And let's see who their opponent might be as we head on to our second semi-final matchup between Winthrop University and Ole Miss.
Yeah, and it's the battle of the best ADs. I think we expected this to be the case. So many Ole Miss games settled in the bottom lane, but it's Mobility flashing forward, picking up the double kill on the botch dive, and you can never forget about this guy. I know he had some opinions about the Shogo 99 OVR, but hey, Shogo, he wants to show us why as well.
Look at all those chakrams. Really, really nicely played to cancel the back, and then watch this clip. Over the tidal wave, he flashes, gets the kill onto Mobility. Shogo quickly 3-0 in this one. However, Winthrop have a good composition to target a single immobile member, and with Wokao on the Vi, it allows for Sword to get a kill here. Sword also going to be able to pick off Uncle Sam, and he's playing Kassadin. This is a really strong champion once you start to snowball just a little bit.
And that's just the thing that makes Winthrop so scary. Their AD carry is brilliant, but the rest of their team so consistent across the board as Sword able to clean up multiple on the Baron. Winthrop still not really that far in the lead though, but in the extension of the play, it is an ace. They only lose one. And now at the Dragon as well. Here comes Winthrop yet again, doing the damage over the top, getting the Dragon, calling across multiple as well. And this Kassadin, look at Sword. And that's just the story. Winthrop, they don't need just one member to carry Grapes.
Yeah, Sword was level 16 at 25 minutes, and they played 10 more minutes after that. Complete domination here for Winthrop at the rest of that game. So they're up 1-0 in this series, and already looking like Ole Miss trying to fight back with an aggressive engage and invade by Icelandic on the Wukong. But he flashes a little bit too far forward, ends up going down, but now Winthrop looking to try to bite off a little bit more than they could chew. Stray on the Rumble, making his way all the way down. He's going to be able to pick himself up 2 kills. Those are going to prove massive for Ole Miss the rest of this game.
Yeah, and things dead even at this Dragon fight. Mobility, though, he's getting Chain CC'd up. Able to get away for the time being. Sword gonna fly in. Winthrop gonna clean up 2 kills, and it feels like a similar story to game number 1. Winthrop, they have a solid mid-game advantage. They have scaling carries coming online, but wait a minute. Mobility does not have the cleanse. He gets hooked up. He gets taken down. That's a shutdown to Stray. Another equalizer now coming down. Things yet again back to even, and keep your eyes on this Jinx flashing out, getting the reset, and hold the phone, Grapes. That 80 carry is coming online.
Yeah, Stray specifically in this fight, doing so much damage with the equalizer, with that flame spitter. It allows for Shogo to finally get on the board with some kills, and now with this Jinx at 3 items, now 4 as we enter this fight, it just continues to get harder and harder. Winthrop losing momentum quickly. That's 1 kill for Shogo, gets another kill, and then another highlight reel worthy play here, flashing to get that final rocket onto Mobility, and that effectively ends the game. We're headed to a game 3 between Winthrop and Ole Miss.
Something that a lot of people might not have expected. It felt like Winthrop was maybe Ole Miss's big brother, and Ole Miss, they have a chance to shake that narrative right here. But again, more attention to the bottom lane. This time it's Mobility on the Jinx. This time it's him who is picking up first blood, and yet again, Winthrop attacking on the side of the map. Shogo not gonna be able to clean up the kill on Wokao after the nice kick, and Winthrop is up big early.
Yep, and they continue it here in the mid lane. Sword Oriana getting 1 kill, getting a second solo kill right after that onto your Uncle Sam. Not a great day to be Ole Miss's mid laner, as Sword has had a terrific series here. They try to force the Baron, but Ole Miss will force them off. Do a little macro play. Make sure that they are not out of this one just yet. However, take a look at this play again. Wokao on the Lee Sin. Not a champion we're super familiar with him on, but man, those kicks are nice as Shogo gets shut down.
Yeah, and that's just the thing about Wokao. Feels like this player can just do anything, and Stray, last-ditch effort, gonna try to find the big 4-man Malphite ulti, but the damage, unfortunately, for Ole Miss, just not really there. At this point, it's just Wallet Diff, Winthrop, they're able to kite it out, they're able to reset the fight, and here comes Denethor, a name we haven't said too much of in this series, but make no mistake, this player, still one of the strongest top laners in the tournament, making his presence felt. Winthrop, they are going to be able to clean up the kills, clean up the towers, and clean up the series 2-1.
Yeah, dominance in both of their wins and a pretty close back and forth game too. I think Ole Miss honestly played pretty well in both of those games. You know, you remember Shogo having a bunch of kills on the Aphelios early in game number 1, but at the end of the day, just a little bit too much for them to handle as Winthrop headed back to another grand finals here in the NACL qualifiers.
Yeah, and Winthrop continuing on their dominance. I think this was the expected result, but to be honest, for Ole Miss fans, I think they should be really happy with the showing that they had in this series. It felt like over those last couple weeks of competition, the Sharks really turning things up to 11 after some of their struggles in the early part of the group stage, and definitely a team that we have high hopes for moving forward. But speaking of moving forward, Grapes, let's take a look now at our finals matchup. It is Aporia using that second lease on life to try to take down the pre-tournament favorites. Despite some stumbles in the open qualifiers, Winthrop, they have been nothing short of dominant here in the first tournament so far.
And it turns out Group B was just the strongest group of them all. Turns out if you have the pre-seeded number 1 and number 3 seeds in your group, it means that those teams are pretty good. Winthrop and Aporia, the last time these two teams faced off, as you mentioned earlier, Hawk, Winthrop took the dub. Let's see if it happens again as we get into the highlights of our grand finals. And Aporia wanting to make sure things start off on the right foot instead of what happened against Winthrop last time around. Lynx and Rovex, once again, having a very good start to this game.
And another series that, Grapes, ended up being a lot about the bottom lane. This time around, it's Aporia getting the better of Mobility and Chookies early on this time, and a really nice fight around the Rift Herald with Music and Lawrence leading the charge. Samakin in to clean it up. Samakin had a rough early game on this Talia, was taken down a few times by Wokao and Sword, but team fought so exceptionally well.
Yeah, Winthrop trying to stop this Baron attempt by Aporia. They push him off for a second, but it looks like they're going to continue to chase and try to fight against a red-white Aphelios gun. This could prove risky here, Hawk.
Yeah, and risky it is indeed. Going into the choke point, Denethor trying to create space. Wokao, they got a huge front line, but the AoE is coming through. The Chakrams getting stacked up, and now look at Lynx with the sniper rifle as well. Aporia, they clean up 3. They get the Baron, and in maybe a bit of a stunner, Aporia, they are going to clean up this first game in just 25 minutes. Dominance coming out of the number 2 seed from Group B.
Yeah, Samakin turning that early game around, ending 8-2-12 on the Talia here. And right back to the bottom lane to start off game number 2. A really nice double knockup on the crash down from Rovex. They're going to flash right after Mobility. They're going to take him down eventually, but we are going to make it a 1-for-1.
It's traded 1-for-1, both supports getting the kills as well. But Winthrop, they took that personally, in this dive is really clean as they're able to assassinate Lynx under his tower, not give one up in return. But speaking of Lawrence leading the charge, how about this flank? The shockwave is good, but the engage from Rovex is better. The pincer maneuver from Aporia puts them firmly in control of game number 2.
Yeah, Winthrop, though, have a good composition to try and come back. They have the Nocturne Ori. When I was watching this game on Music's POV, I felt so bad for Lynx because Winthrop's goal in every fight was to one-shot Lynx and then try to deal with the rest afterwards. You see here, once again, the AD carry taken out immediately after the fight, but without that crucial ultimate on anybody else, Aporia were able to take control after their AD carry went down.
Yep, and Aporia, it looks like they're going to be able to get something back. Winthrop does actually end up winning this fight, and they are going to thwart the Soul Dragon. This was a trend throughout the series. Winthrop deprioritizing the early dragons, sometimes being put in these positions, but hold on a minute. Winthrop, they deny the Soul, but that is a Baron sneak from Aporia, and now at the Soul fight yet again, look at Samakin!
Man, a huge shuffle to knock away 2. Chucky's gonna go down with that final auto attack as well. Now it's a 2v2. Mobility gets 1, but Samakin dashes forward to pick up a 1,000 gold shutdown. And without any mana on sword, it is the Azir absolutely taking over the fight. Another one here, as we're playing Australian mode a little bit here. The Nocturne Ori once again forcing Lynx out early, but this time he's able to survive long enough to do a ton of DPS. A massive engage there from Lawrence, and everybody on Aporia is going to chase the Eagles down.
Turns out even a nerf to stopwatch is still not enough when the entire enemy composition is just dedicated to murdering you. Lynx able to use it to great effect, even though he dies in the end yet again. It's Samakin cleaning up the fight, and in game 2, Aporia, they are going to take a 2-0 lead. Remember, this grand final is a best of 5. So Winthrop, they are now backs against the wall, tournament on the line. Wokao not wanting to let the second place curse strike again. Does pick up first blood for himself, but it is traded.
Yeah, Lynx on the Zeri. That's a champion that can scale pretty well. However, looks like Winthrop don't want them to get there. Denethor on his signature Gnar with a big engage combined by Sword's Serena Shuffle gets them a couple of kills, and Lynx just doesn't have enough damage to fire back well enough just yet. He's going to get rooted up. They're going to try to fire in again. Music trying to buy some space here, but nobody on Winthrop is going to fall, and they make the turn to take Lawrence down.
Yeah, Aporia, they just weren't quite there on their item spikes. They end up getting a few extra kills, and it puts the game in Winthrop's control. Aporia, yet again, in this fight, still don't really have their item spikes and still get run down, even though they get the dragon to prevent the soul. It is Winthrop. Look at the numbers. Samakin and Lynx getting corralled into the bottom side of the map. And this third game, I think game 2 was one they might have wanted back, but not even a Rakan Ori combo is enough to prevent Winthrop from taking this one.
And even though Aporia won the first 2 games, as soon as you lose the next one, things start to get a little bit hairy. People start whispering, reverse sweep, question mark. Could that be a possibility here for the Eagles, as we're in Fearless Draft Game 4. We're in unprecedented territory, Hawk, and that means we have a Zac in the top lane who's able to pick up a solo kill, mind you, onto Denethor, and with Music on the Jin Zhao hunting him down as well, they're going to look for a little bit more here as well.
Yep, Wokao, though, gonna try to turn it around with the Vitality. Does get one back onto Music, but it's really fights like this that can make or break series, and it looks so good for Aporia. Multiple knockups, multiple low members. Lynx gets 1, but Mobility gets 2, and Sword cleans up the 3rd, and with that advantage, Winthrop up 5,000. They force on the mid lane. They're able to get onto Lynx and one-shot him. The rest of Aporia scattered to the wind. Winthrop, they're going to take a Baron. And Grapes, you mentioned those whispers, those rumblings of reverse sweep. Would they be on the cards?
Potentially so after the dominant victory here. You see Sword on the Zoe. This is the first time that I feel like Aporia has had a game where it's been unbanned, but because they're on blue side, Sword's able to pick it up. You have to remember, he's a great Zoe player in his own right. And even though Winthrop might have lost a couple of members early in this one, clean ace here to take us to that deciding game number 5. Let's see if the reverse sweep can happen here, huh?
You know, a lot of times in game 5, teams, they get nervous. They're not willing to make big plays. That was not the case here, as this is going to be the best game yet, and it starts off amazingly for Winthrop. They pick up kills in not 1, not 2, but 3 lanes. You saw the solo kills in top and mid, and now with the fight in bottom. Check out Mobility and this movement on a sliver of HP, able to take down Lynx, able to kite out Rovex. He's got the fleet footwork. He's going to get the body block from Chucky's. Music not able to close the gap. The Bramble Smash, not enough either.
Not enough.
Mobility, he is still alive.
And look at this. They're going to eventually, go to try to kill the top laner here for Winthrop. And Mobility still, by the way, alive. He finds a snipe onto Rovex and takes him down. Finally, eventually ended up falling. But really, really nice play from the Aphelios here in game number 5. Winthrop are up big. However, it's a good opportunity here for Aporia. They get 2 kills onto the solo laners. They're able to flash out a little bit for now. Samikid sniping down Chookies on his Lux, which we haven't talked about at all so far. Sure to be a bigger storyline as we continue on in this game 5.
Yeah, and then, hang on, wait a minute. This game might be winnable. Wokao is dead. It was a nice hook from Rovex off screen. And now, here comes Winthrop trying to prevent the play. Aporia, they want the Baron, but a big Inferno multi from Mobility going to dissuade this fight. Going to keep the game close. But Samikin's Lux does so much damage. And Rovex, that's Hex Flash, that's hook, that's Mobility!
The big carry for Winthrop is down. Elder Dragon going up to Aporia. They're going to try to end the game right here, right now, in an even gold state. But take a look at Mobility. He's going to respawn, get a couple of kills back, and we still play on to this Baron buff. Music with a big smite. They're able to get a couple of kills. Again, they tag Mobility with the Lux Q, and that is all she wrote. From being eliminated in the quarterfinals to taking home the crown against the Eagles, it is Aporia being your NACL qualifier champion.
An incredible mental fortitude for Aporia. Congratulations once more to the squad. Lawrence, Music, Samikin, Lynx, Rovex, all playing exceptionally in their own right. They really stood tall. They stood up against the test. Winthrop winning positions in game 2 and hard winning position in game 5. Not able to convert the team fighting from Aporia and the team play. Just too damn good. And it may have taken 5 games, but this team deserving of their trophy.
Yeah, everybody contributing in their own way. Here are the first 2 games out of the 5 where Aporia certainly dominated. And I want to cast our minds back to the bottom lane here where Lynx and Rovex against Mobility and Chookies was the matchup we were all expecting to be really, really good. And it definitely delivered. They were trading blows back and forth and back and forth. And finally, it was Lynx on his Kalista in Game 5 that ended up being the difference maker at the end of the day.
Yeah, just so incredibly well done to them. Samikin, want to give a shout out as well. I think for many people might have been the finals MVP. And for Winthrop on the other side, the finals curse yet again, not able to convert on a championship. This team has been here a couple times now. Trickster has been here even more and has unfortunately just not quite worked out for them. And I'm sure they'll be back, Grapes, but that's got to sting.
Yeah, another second place finish here for Wokao and Winthrop. They were second place in the first qualifier in summer, first qualifier in spring 24. They're doing it again. Everybody really played pretty well, honestly, as well. Denethor, I think, had a great series. Mobility had a phenomenal series. Even in that Game 5, kept them up and afloat for so long, was almost able to win the game for Winthrop straight up early in that one. But the comeback was really good out of our champions as they take home Game 5 and prevent that reverse sweep.
We can take a look at the final playoff bracket one more time as it is a prevention of the reverse sweep. It is Aporia winning it all 3-2-2. And some incredible storylines in this tournament for sure, Grapes, but Aporia, they stand tall above the rest. And I believe you have some content.
Yeah, well, after the series, got to do our post-finals interview, of course, and we decided to talk again to one of the newer players on Aporia to hear his thoughts on the win and what the team is thinking moving forward. We sat down with Samikin, the mid laner. Hello, everybody. I am here with Aporia's mid laner Samikin after a thrilling 3-2 victory in the NACLQ finals over Winthrop. Samikin, first of all, congratulations. What a crazy back-and-forth series that was, but I want to first have you go back to that final game-winning moment as the Nexus was exploding. Just describe the emotions that you were feeling, at that point.
At first I was really doubting the Lux pick, but then after we locked it in, it's like, there's no looking back, and we're just gonna have to go with our comfort. And after all, the whole back and forth in Game 5, starting off, really horrendously, we clawed back with some really good, Lux Qs and Blitz hooks. And we just played the pick game for forever, waiting out quirky packages, just playing on our timers. It was we were just playing at like 110% to be able to win that game, especially after what happened early.
I want to cast your mind back to the last week after you guys were unfortunately eliminated in the quarterfinals by Morningstar White, seemingly. What did it feel like to get that callback that you guys actually would have a chance to compete again and now make a run all the way to the title for OQ1?
We knew that Morningstar White was definitely the favorite to be winning the tournament just because of like their whole backstory and how all the casters and all the people who weren't playing were following them. And having to replace that kind of team after losing to them, it felt really daunting because like yeah, we lost to them and it was totally our fault. We thought that there would be like a lot of backlash towards us because just having to replace such a prominent team in the scene just like out of the blue it was really high tense, and we really wanted to make sure that we could follow through with Morningstar's expectations of winning the tournament. So like spiritually we were like helping them get there.
You specifically, I think, played really, really well throughout the series versus Lotus, and then, of course, in a lot of those games in the grand finals. But this is actually the first time you've ever even been in a top 16 stage, let alone a grand finals, a semifinals. I mean, how does it feel to make it all the way to the top after just one tournament?
It feels nice being able to say that I went from like 2-3 OQ Kings to for like three times, win it all in one fell swoop. It really like strengthened my resolve in the choices that I made to switch teams from a group of friends to having a opportunity that arose itself through the connections I made in the amateur scene after a year or so. And it felt really good being reassured that I was making the right choice.
After, dropping the games 3 and 4 after having that 2-0 lead,
hmm
is it hard to keep your mental like after your 5 games in and you just lost 2 on the verge of being reverse swept?
I don't think it was like super hard because of the personalities that we had on the team. We have a lot of like go-getters and a lot of positive influencers like Robex and Lawrence, like keeping the team mentality up, cracking jokes even when we're like not in the best positions. So I wouldn't say our mental was ever really super down in the dumps to the point where we couldn't like recover. And I really like have to thank them for that because after losing early game as Callista bot lane against Aphelios Milio, it was really hard to like keep up comms like for like the first next like 5 minutes until we started grouping together and getting a lot of picks.
Last thing that I want to ask you, because I ended up talking to all the teams that were in the semifinals except for you guys because I ran out of time before we actually realized that you were playing. But the question that I asked some of those other players and teams were, what's something about Aporia that you guys are better at than everyone else in the tournament? And I guess to add on to that, what are your new expectations now for OQ2 after and beyond potentially after taking the dub in this tournament?
Something that I really worked a lot on over the course of the tournament individually is my matchup knowledge, especially since for some reason Azir Corki just like popped up out of nowhere as OQs were like happening and then qualifiers started happening. So I had to like quickly learn how to play Azir Corki matchup or Rihanna Azir. Like all those types of matchups just like sprung out of nowhere after we thought that mid lane was gonna be a pretty like dead zone for meta and we could just like pick whatever we wanted. So that was a really surprising turn of events, which happened to be our downfall and why we lost to BlackRock Esports. Matchup knowledge was definitely something I improved a lot on, and as a team, Aporia together, I would say we were really good at winning lane and pushing advantages. Because I'm really confident in my skills as a mid laner for early game and laning phase against like almost every other mid laner in the OQs and qualifiers. And Lynx and Robex dominate almost every ADC support like combo as well. So I would say we play a lot through mid bot and have top on an island to stabilize the game into winning advantages so music can just like really pop off with his playmaking and pick making potential champions.
All right. Thank you very much, Damikin. Last thing, I guess, you expect to be seeded first for next week going to Swiss?
Uh, I wouldn't say I expect to be seated first because to be honest, I still think I'm not as like super well known compared to like other like players who have been in the scene for longer. So just recognitions based, I would say we're not like the most super recognizable team, but I'd say we're like pretty high up there. I wouldn't be surprised if we were like second or third now compared to like the fourth that we got for OQ1.
I mean, definitely a lot of vouches potentially for the top of the table after picking up that for a huge victory that almost, going all the way to 5 games against Winthrop University. Samikin, mid laner for Aporia, thank you very much for joining me, and let's get back to the show.
And thanks again, Samikin, for taking the time to sit down with Grapes immediately following that win. And hey, look, Samikin, you may say you don't have the same name brand as some of the other players, but performances like that in the previous qualifier can definitely be what puts your name on the map. But with tournament number 1 having concluded, Grapes, let's take a look now at our final rendition of the power rankings. I'm sure it'll come as no surprise to many of you that things have not really changed all that much, but of course there are still some shuffles.
Yeah, we brought our champion up to the top. I think that's all fair at the end of the day. Ole Miss, in our opinion, having the more competitive semifinal than Lotus did, although it was against the second place team, not the eventual winners. But I think they played pretty good in all of their games in the series. Lotus, I think, we'll see them back in some capacity for qualifier 2, but for now they're going to end up at 4th, and we didn't really move anybody else around after they weren't able to play for the rest of the tournament. And a reminder, this is the power rankings of that first qualifier. So if there are any roster changes that's not accounted for here, we'll get to that in a little bit when we get started on our unveiling of the teams for Qualifier 2.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure once we get into Qualifier 2, we'll have plenty of spicy power ranking takes for you. But for now, maybe we can move on, Grapes, to our Tier 3 team of the tournament. Instead of picking a team of the week between only 4 remaining teams, we decided to pick the best player in each and every role throughout the entirety of the first Qualifier tournament. Grapes, it's going to be made up of Denethor, Music, Robbie Bob, Shogo, and Rovex. I mean, a star-studded lineup on our screens.
Yeah, 4 out of 5 representatives from the top 4. Robbie Bob just barely missing out after that loss to Lotus in the quarterfinals, but he looked so good in both the Swiss stage to bring BlackRock to 5-0, as well as the group stage, which of course they won with wins over Clown Gaming and Team Fish Taco. A very, very impressive player in the mid lane, but everybody else also contributing as well. Shogo, I think, and Mobility were very close in our eyes in terms of making it all the way up there, with Mobility ending up winning the series, but looks like we went with Shogo for this one. Denethor up in the top lane, looking very impressive, and then 2 of our champions, of course, in that jungle support.
Yeah, I mean, no complaints here. Music, again, going deathless in that semifinal matchup against Lotus as well. I think he, in particular, cashed in on an extremely dominant finals weekend performance in particular to make it up to this point. And Grapes, I think I speak for both of us when I say support was really, really hard to pick. It felt like Rovex did stand slightly above the rest, but I mean, honestly, between all of our top 4 supports, Chucky's Mixture, Rhino included, it's really difficult to pick just one, but Rovex definitely deserving of the laurels that he is receiving. That's going to be our Tier 3 team of the tournament for this one, though, and we'll still have plenty teams of the week and maybe a team of the split coming up in the future. But Grapes, now that Tournament 1 has concluded, I think the most important thing that we can do is take a look at the championship points as they stand at the halfway point of the spring split. Aporia naturally standing above the competition at 120 after finding their win in the grand finals, but Winthrop, after winning the group with Aporia in it, is only 10 behind them.
Yeah, and that is going to be important. You know, Aporia not winning their group and Winthrop winning their group does mean that it's a big swing in terms of just the top 2 right there. And as we continue to move along into Qualifier 2, it's important to note, tiebreakers are determined by performance in the second qualifier, so that actually does mean, in a weird way, if Ole Miss actually is tied with Winthrop at the end of the day, that likely implies that they had a better performance in OQ2, meaning they actually win that tiebreaker if that ended up happening down the line. And again, top 3 in terms of points, and then the winner of OQ2 are your 4 teams qualifying into the promotion tournament.
Yeah, and a lot of ups and downs for a bunch of our tournament favorites in both the Swiss stage as well as the group stage, meaning that there are a lot of different point totals. I mean, basically nobody is tied with each other, at least at the top of this leaderboard, which just means that there is sure to be a lot of drama moving forward. But, Grapes, we are now only 6 weeks away from the promotion tournament. We have one more tournament. We can take a look at the upcoming schedule on your screens. I mean, we are well on our way now through the spring split, halfway there, as we have already said. Still a lot of League of Legends left to be played, but we are definitely starting to think about the end game.
Yeah, and some big changes as well for this second qualifier tournament, as now all the games are going to be moved to 8 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays and Sundays, and streams will be allowed. Community streams are now going to be unlocked for this second tournament. For the Swiss stage, it'll be open to all orgs that are involved within those games and are able to get into those live servers. And then for GSL and beyond, you can apply to be an official community streamer on the NACLQ Discord rally cry. You can fill out a survey there to make sure you are also ready to go. And as it was, as it worked in the last couple of days of the first qualifier, POV streams will be allowed throughout the entire event, which means that if you're a player, as long as you're on a 3-minute delay, you can stream your perspective of the qualifiers from your own personal stream.
And we can go ahead and, speaking of that countdown to the promotion tournament, Grapes, as well, let's pull up the NACL standings really quick and see who these teams could potentially be playing against. In first place, of course, is FlyQuest Challengers and Maryville University, both sitting at 10-2 game score, 5-0 series score, and Supernova up at 4-1. Seemingly standing above the rest, where there is quite a thick soup at the bottom so far, disguised as Mirage Alliance in that relegation position with only 1 series win apiece, but with quite a few best of 3s left to be played. Maybe inconclusive who our promotion tournaments might yet be.
Yeah, a lot of really strong teams here, and towards the bottom, it's really hard to tell who those bottom 2 teams are going to be. We have a lot of faces that are familiar with being in the promotion tournament up here. We have Maryville and Supernova alongside AoE and Mirage Alliance and Lit. So that's half the NACL at this point have played in the promotion tournament in one way or the other. And for these teams, their goal is to avoid that event, while for our qualifiers teams, the goal is to, of course, make it into that event. And let's see which of those teams will have an opportunity, as we have our reveal show in a couple of minutes. But before we do that, we want to reflect one last time on this first qualifier victory for Aporia, where Music actually was streaming his POV the entire time, and we could take a look at some of the comms that him and the team were delivering in that final decisive game.
Look, can we look?
Yep. Ahead.
That. Yeah, Amelia has nothing.
We have to get the trick, I'll be honest, we'll just fight for it.
Yeah.
That's a TP. That's a
Corky TP'd.
Where?
I'm not
Walling.
looking for it. I can look.
Nice look. Amelia ult. No mana
Oh,
AD.
World's here.
Just keep cutting.
I'm just fight on this side, okay? Just try and win.
Nice, well played. Corky's no flash,
That's
right?
it. Just run out. I'll block.
Huge top lane, well played.
yeah.
Oh, game saved.
It's saved. just chill for 20. I'm really
Yeah, just
chill,
chill, just chill.
chill.
They have 30 seconds left. Just
Hey,
chill.
Corky,
Nice!
Corky.
Huge!
Oh,
nice,
nice,
Samick, you
nice.
fucking god. Oh,
Wait,
no!
no,
No, it's fine, it's fine.
Wave and then river, wave and river.
Okay. He's basing.
He's spacing for package. Can you stop him with Lux ult?
Can we just one-shot it?
Yeah, one shot.
Yeah,
They have no package.
Nice.
They're gonna go Nash, I think. No, I have to go in, I'm ulting. It's 5k.
Okay.
Wait, finish it.
That's
That's
it. No, reset.
Let it reset.
Okay.
The package is almost over. They're gonna turn.
Okay, it's okay. We're
It's okay.
We're
Yeah,
chilling.
chill.
They use they missed it.
Package.
Yo,
Okay,
come
I'm down to
Push
chase.
mid.
I'm down to chase here.
Yeah, I'm watching.
Look roll.
Yeah.
Nice, now we have Nash.
Come here.
Hey, Nash.
Just kill me.
You can kill.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
Elio's ulti.
I'm gonna try to get
gonna-
all. They're playing fitness 4K.
I can take Nash. I got Nash.
Come
I didn't get it.
Come here.
I'm not with you guys. I'm disconnected.
Cut out.
You go mid. They can end if you die.
Oh, also look for hook on roll.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just one shot.
Yep.
I'm ulting. Careful,
Nice,
Kelly's
nice,
ult.
nice.
Wait out package.
No melee ult. Nice. No melee ult.
Yeah, it's free. Just wait. Yeah, he's 40-second death timer.
They have no flash on
Don't get
AD.
turned on. We can only lose during package.
Okay.
Package.
That's luggage.
Use it. Hey, no W, no W. He hinted. He has no W.
Yeah, just play slow,
fine,
please.
play this.
Please just play the Elder.
Okay.
They don't smite.
Watch my hook, dude.
Yeah, watching it.
Don't rend, okay?
Oh,
For
huge.
touch.
I feel this.
Nice, well played, guys. Go bot wave. Can we end on bot wave?
Yeah, Elder bot wave.
Okay.
Before this guy spawns.
Yeah, clear mid. Don't back.
Crank
Clear mid.
flash. When is Blitz flash?
You're smurfing.
Oh.
You're fucking smurfing.
Oh
Stand,
my
stand.
god,
I don't
no,
know what
no,
to say.
I
Just
think
stand.
TP.
I'm ulting this. Hit. The focus.
The tower?
Yeah.
3 seconds.
They can't walk up. They can't walk up to my E.
Watching your hook. Robo.
Nice. I'm zoning up fellas. Just keep hitting first.
Careful.
Okay, this is bad.
Strong.
That's bad.
No flash for key.
10k.
I'm ulting when it's lower HP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have flash.
Okay, I'm ulting.
Play Sam.
I got Nash.
I'm looking for this.
I do.
No, kill this.
Fight's good.
I'm on Corky. I'm gonna chase Corky. Nah, I'm just
Okay.
end the game. Nice.
I'm keeping.
I can chase Corky.
Wait, you're
Yeah,
actually
we're
the man.
just
Just
Corky.
Make sure this guy's.
No, he's dead. Wait, he kills me. We took full early game, lost early game, and won the game.
That was the world's worst early game.
Oh,
Bro, no one cares about how they like. We won, you know? Like we won. We only.
Yay!
My fucking heart rate peaked at
It's
170.
a game. It's a game 5 fearless experience. You can't really get this experience.
I'm fearless, bro. Fearless.
And a shout out to Music JG on Twitch if you want to check out some more POV streams. Thank you so much for the content. And I think one more time, congratulations are in order for Aporia for winning the first LCS Challengers League qualifier tournament of 2024. And a congratulations to all the teams that participated in this tournament. But Grapes, we are, however, only halfway through the split as we still have one more tournament before our 4 summer promotion tournament slots are spoken for. It's time to unveil the 32 teams that will be competing in the second spring qualifier for this tournament with our reveal show.
So what you've all been waiting for, let's take a look to see how these teams specifically were selected first to compete in Open Qualifier weekend starting this Saturday. As the name suggests, any team could submit an application to participate in the qualifiers, and each roster was given a rating based off of Alavid's solo queue rank from last season, with the top 24 teams in terms of ELO automatically qualifying in for the event, with the NACL selection committee picking the rest of those teams, and they were a group of coaches, broadcasters, and community members knowledgeable of the space. They selected those final 8 teams for the event and then ranked all 32 teams in order of strength, with the aggregate average becoming the seeds for the OQs this weekend.
You can check out the full committee voting results on the NACL qualifiers, or rather on Twitter at Rally Cry Official, which will also be your home for socials coverage of the NACL qualifiers this year. Overall, 39 teams submitted full applications to participate in the Open qualifiers, so we did have to say goodbye to some teams before they got the chance to compete. However, all players and rosters will get the opportunity in Summer Split should they want to run it back.
Yeah, I mean, we already wasted enough of your time. Let's get right back into it. And as per usual, we're going to start at the bottom and work our way all the way up to the top. So let's kick off the second NACL Qualifiers Spring Split Bracket reveal, starting with our bottom 4 seeds. Bringing up the rear are 2 teams that made the bracket after missing out last time around, with Zora Esports and Pikmi Galio at 31 and 32 respectively. Pikmi Galio surely going to make use of that new POV streaming policy, as Sanchovies and Nikic have already been streaming their scrims as they get their practice in this weekend. Team YOLO features some familiar faces like Zusty from GVU and Nostalgia Lee, who spent the last qualifier on Clown Gaming. And rounding out our bottom 4 is Gravity, who have their top laner Spencer returning after going 2 and 3 with Omega Gaming, and Yurisan, who was part of Wildcard's developmental system in 2022, alongside some names like Snow 2 and Onat.
Yeah. As is typical, Grapes, with the bottom 4 seeds of the tournament, a lot of names that people might not recognize at this point, a lot of players that are still trying to build up that brand for themselves, but as you did draw attention to, there are some exciting pieces down here, and just at this last tournament, we actually had our 31 and our 32 seeds both playing in the bubble match, and of course, everyone remembers DK Crew from 2022, so even being seeded this low definitely does not mean your tournament is over.
Yeah, and I think specifically for a team like Team YOLO, who have a player like Nostalgia Lee who made it all the way into the group stage just last tournament, that's a squad that I'm going to be looking at to maybe make some waves. And of course, we got our streamer team over in seed number 32. I mean, the only problem is with the way the Swiss works, you're going to have to play against a top 4 seed in the first round, and you are always going to get the short end of the stick when it comes to who you are facing in terms of seeding as you go throughout this weekend.
Yeah. These teams definitely going to have their work cut out for them, but hey, maybe some of that streamer plot armor buff can help a team like Pick Me Galio overcome the odds. But, Grapes, I think we can move on to our next group of 4 seeds, in which we do have some familiar faces to the open qualifiers. Number 28 and number 27, Cozy Gamers and Carolina Reapers, are familiar brands that are running back the bulk of the rosters that have competed in open qualifiers in the past, while number 25 seed, the Nameless, is looking to reprise their 2-2 bubble match appearance and secure a berth into the GSL stage this time around, and they've got a new face to help them do it. Demon in the jungle, player that has played in the open qualifiers previously. This leaves a newcomer at number 26, and it's going to be It's Doomed, featuring mid laner Blonde, who a lot of you may recognize.
Yeah, a new org for It's Doom, but they were part of the team, a large part of them were a part of a team called Redemption in the last tournament. And they also had a pretty solid run. They went 2-3. A lot of these teams right on the bubble of like, oh, we have a chance of making it if we win that one final game, which always feels bad. But, you know, they still got their 10 qualification points. They're still in a really good position to make a couple of upsets happen and make their way into that top 16 this time around. And, you know, they have some other players here who have done it before. You look specifically at Damon in the jungle for the Nameless, and that squad also very, very close every single time.
Yeah, and the Nameless, a team that, or an organization rather, has been around in the open qualifier scene for a while, just like the Carolina Reapers and the Costa Gamers. They actually have, I believe, gotten a couple of rosters into that GSL stage, and this year it was sort of a refresh. We didn't really know what to expect from them. They were seeded low at the last tournament, and actually being one of those teams in that 2-2 bubble match, even though they did ultimately fall, those are the kind of performances that can put player names on the map. And I think deservedly so, they got the nod in the seeding this time around, up at 25.
Yeah, it was up from when they were in the last tournament. I think it was around 30, and they made it all the way to that deciding match, and maybe that little bump is what will help them, but it just proves that this is a strong team that is definitely capable of getting some wins here in this Swiss stage. And that concludes our bottom 8 teams. Let's take another quick look overall just to see where we are in the stage of the promotion or the qualifier at the Swiss stage. Again, each of these 8 teams are going to have to play against a top 8 seed in that first round. So the first round might be pretty difficult, but if you can get past there, it's anyone's game. You only got to win 2 more after that.
I mean, let's remember, last time around, our number 25 and number 26 seeds qualified for the GSL stage, while our number 31 and 32 seeds were in that deciding match. So even being seated down here absolutely does not mean that your tournament lives are anywhere close to over. Just win 5-head.
That's a perspective that a lot of teams have taken. You know, I think a team like Clown Gaming was at the 26th spot in the last tournament, and they actually made it all the way into the group stage. So that is still a possibility for teams. It's not, you know, all doomed as, you know, the 26th team is named. There's still not a lot of good opportunities to make some waves. And so with that being said, we're starting to get into some of our heavy hitters now as we make our way into our next group of teams. These are the ones seeded 24 to 21. As we could pull that graphic up now. In the 24 slot, we have Nigel's Last Tiles, who have Evan Lyon Goodshot from the GMA roster last tournament. They nearly qualified to GSL as well. And joining them is Insanes from the M All-Stars. Each of them are going to try to make their first ever group stage seated in the 24 spot. At 23, we have CU Black, Colorado University, who has been dominating their West Conference group in CELO after a bit of a quieter season last time around. Colorado is led by Muffin Hawker, their jungler, who in 2022 led their team to a top 16 finish in CELO, where they lost a close series to Winthrop, and are now joined by longtime veteran Saligo, who was most recently on Wildcard Gaming, and game changer superstar Heloisia. At 22 are the Pookie Bears, who are looking to make it back to the group stage with some new faces, like Aojun, who was on Lotus in the last event, and rounding out this group of 4 is Purdue Northwest, another collegiate team who had high expectations in the first qualifier, but just fell short, losing in that decisive 5th game.
Yeah, and all these teams, I mean, I think we're really starting to get in the conversation of having very good shots to make the group stage. I mean, of course, they are in that next group of 8. I think PNW, a team in particular, that wants last tournament back, and now they're going to get another shot. They are seated just a little bit lower than they were last time around due to that performance, but I do think they are a team that is going to be in that bubble conversation. And Pookie Bears, Zygen was a player that really impressed me at the last tournament, Grapes, and I think now paired up alongside Aljun, this is a team that, yet again, is going to be in a position to make an upset run.
Yeah, I'm excited to look at them. That mid jungle, again, going to be pretty strong, although they do have some new pieces coming in. This was a team that had to make some big roster changes right before the qualifier started last time around, so maybe with these new players in, it actually could help them in a way. But as you said, these are all squads that I would have felt comfortable seeding in my top 16 in any other, in a different, situation with different teams being in here. We have Saligo, who was literally in the LCS just a couple of years ago and was one of the best mid laners in Challengers last year at C23. That's how powerful some of these squads are going to continue to get.
Yeah, in general, so that people understand, from this slide all the way through like seed 11, is it, Grapes, was really hard for the entire committee to rank. It was a lot of parity between these teams, and that will be a trend moving forward. So something to keep in mind is that there are a lot of teams that are going to be vying for those last 5 to 6 group stage spots. Speaking of those teams that are going to be vying for those group stage spots, though, we do have our last group of teams outside of the top 16. Starting with the aforementioned Clown Gaming that managed to take down Purdue Northwest last time as the number 26 seed and securing a GSL spot. Although they didn't do too much in the group stage, here in Qualifier 2, they will be looking to make the same statement from the bottom half of the table. Just ahead of them is Castleberry, a team featuring a collective of collegiate players looking to make a stake in the NACLQ scene, including players like Geiger and Castle, who have played multiple times at this level before, and Geiger even making a few GSL stages in his time. At number 18, we have Benefactor's Revenge, headlined by longtime mid-jungle duo of Excelsis and Jowdani, two young players that a lot of people have been very excited about. And, of course, we cannot forget Grapes, the bottom lane, as well. Smalls was a standout performer last spring and paired alongside Dum Dum, renamed for Baruto in support. Benefactor's Revenge team feeling pretty exciting. And finally, at number 17 is the Phoenix 5. Shorter Ace rises from the ashes and is bringing a mix of experienced talent such as Baz and Detro in the bottom lane. Look for Moz to try and clinch his first ever GSL stage appearance from right on the bubble at 17.
Man, if you are a fan of Collegiate League of Legends, you are a big fan of this group of 4 squads right here. You got Paragon over on Columbia, a huge group of collegiate players on Castleberry, specifically a lot of them coming out of Grandview University. A ton of UCI players in those other groups as well, or at least former UCI players with Detro, and you got Gino, Excelsis, and Jowdani. I believe are all still at the school right now. A very, very fun squad of a group of teams specifically, and just goes to show how strong this qualifier really is. And again, Clown Gaming, they made the top 16. They're down at 20, even though they are running back the exact same roster. Just like the committee thought, some of these other teams that are a little bit newer could pack a big force.
Yeah, and Clown Gaming, I'm really glad that they were at least able to move up a good number of spots from that 26 they had last time. It does feel bad for them to be down here at 20, but they are definitely in a position where when you're in these middle 8, so the 20 through 12 seeds, it almost feels like, it's really all bets are off. Anyone can make it as long as you're able to beat the team across from each other. And I think this is a team, all 4 of them, that we will expect to be in that bubble match status. But Grapes, let's take a quick look now. We have half of the teams announced, and what a nice lineup that is looking like.
Again, like I want to re-emphasize this, like all of these teams in this next quadrant, like the 17 through 24, like had an argument to be in that top 16. It's just that like there are a lot of other good teams that we're going to be unveiling as well. And I think that means that these like matchups specifically, like this group of 8 against the next group of 8 that we're about to announce, are going to have super, super close back and forth games, with any of them really having a good opportunity of qualifying into the top 16.
Yeah, absolutely. We're expecting high competition, but Grapes, we still have 16 more teams to announce.
All right, let's get right to it with our top half. And these are the teams that now the committee thinks have the best shot of qualifying into the group stage this weekend. And we're going to kick things off with a bit of a surprise in BlackRock Esports. BlackRock, after going 5-0 in the first OQ, have fallen after losing in the quarterfinals and losing some of their star carries in Robbie Bob and Inori B. Kitsuo moving into the sub position, and filling their spots is Zalt in the mid lane, who was on Imgutis' Saplings last tournament, Sushi in the AD carry position, who is a very exciting prospect looking to make waves in his first ever OQ, and Hyphy of Converse University fame joining in as well, with Decoy and Pockets sure should still be a very strong team who have a really good threat of making it and going even further than that. At seed number 15, we have Reluminate GG, whose topside of Crucial and Shimmer impressed many on the first day of Swiss last tournament after taking down Ole Miss in the last game of that first day before dropping their next 3 and unfortunately falling out of contention. They are supplemented this weekend by Papa, who's also known as Conveying, who made top 4 in CELO last year with Winthrop and also was on a promising Lit Esports roster last spring. At 14, it's an old favorite in Wang's Revenge. This group is running it back, the exact same roster for the last tournament, where they made it into the group stage and then upset UCI 2-0 in the first round of groups. Unfortunately, things didn't go super well for the rest of the way for Wang, as they failed to pick up a single game and losses to ISU and Lotus, but with Boyle playing his best tournament yet, Debonair and Cerulean also having great showings, Wang will certainly be back for revenge as they look to advance even further in OQ2. And finally, at number 13, we have a team full of old players with Option 33, old but gold, I should say. This team consists of a hodgepodge of teams and some of the best CELO players we've ever seen. Legends like PCL, Zatzmod, and Evan RL lacing up the boots for another shot at glory, and they're going to be joined by jungle support duo Maddie Ontario. Despite their name, Option 33 was far from the last choice on the committee members and are an exciting new team to keep an eye on this week.
And what an exciting group of 4 that this is. I think the big standout for a lot of people is going to be BlackRock Esports all the way down here at 16. Unfortunately for them, the changes really maybe just not landing the way that they wanted in the committee's eyes. I think Sushi is a player that I've heard really, really good things about. We've not seen him play before at this level, but I think a lot of people are arguing that in the committee, it could even be an upgrade, actually, here in the bot lane position. I just think, unfortunately, Hyphy, Zalt not having the same star power as that UST duo and Robbie Bob and Kitsuo.
I did see that they listed Kitsuo like as a slash with Hype in the jungle, so I'm wondering what the actual will look like in terms of who ends up getting games played. But I think 16, anywhere in that like middle 8, again, very, very up in the air. I'm surprised to see Wang this low at this point because they had a really good series against UCI. They looked really good in some of their wins, and they are down here in the kind of bottom quadrant of teams that could potentially still make it in. But the teams around them still very strong as well. I'm excited to see Papa on this Reluminate team that, you know, just I think needed that little extra boost. And Option 33, man, I mean, if you've been a fan for the last couple of years, you're really happy to see some of these names back.
There's a lot of talented players in this side of the bracket, and definitely a lot of teams that are going to be looking to make appearances in the GSL stage. But Grapes, let's get into some of the big time contenders as we will move on to our next 4, starting off with number 12 seed, Abandoned Kittens. Doubling their positioning compared to a 3-2 showing as the 25 seed last tournament, the Abandoned Kittens are returning with 4/5 of their roster they used to make the group stage last time around. Look for Riverside to elevate what was already an extremely solid core here in Tournament 2. Ahead of them is going to be the University of California at Irvine. A promising start led to a disappointing exit for UCI at Tournament 1, but nonetheless, they are running it back yet again, hoping for a better end to their story here in Tournament 2. Their longest tenured member, Sinna, put up multiple standout performances and will attempt to do so again this weekend. The collegiate train does not stop here, though, Grapes, as it is at number 10, Illinois State University. The Redbirds rocked Tier 3 just a few short weeks ago as they managed to take first place in Group D and clinch their first ever quarterfinals appearance in program history, including a win over semi-finalist Lotus in the group stage. Although they fell to fellow collegiate rival Ole Miss in a close 3-game series, their first performance was enough to leave many asking questions of whether their new jungler Cross is the key to bringing out the best in ISU. And just outside of our top 8 is going to be Gentle Hearts Gaming. They are returning with the same core of Krakadon, Ariandel, and Rox 908, but are also retooled with some notable changes in top and bot. Nori B makes the move over from BlackRock Esports, while former TSM Academy top laner Soul makes his return to competitive play. After failing to break either of our finalists in Group B last time around, GHG wants to prove that they are contenders and not pretenders here in Tournament 2.
And let's take a look as we are just outside of that top 8, as you said, Hog. Gentle Hearts Gaming making some big time moves here in the number 9 seed. I like the point that you brought up that their only losses were to the winners of the eventual tournament in Winthrop and Emporia, the finalists, I should say. So they should still feel pretty confident about what things could look like. Nori B was with the coaching staff of this team for a lot of the fall season, so now he's back home, so to speak. And so when you look at how Gentle Hearts could perform, I got my eyes on them because I was definitely expecting a little bit more than that just immediate exit before making it into quarterfinals last tournament.
Yeah, this Gentle Hearts roster in particular was a contentious one in the committee. There was a lot of discussion over whether Soul coming in for Barrick is going to be a extremely good change here for Gentle Hearts, because it has been a minute since Soul has played in competitive, and whether or not he's able to keep the same level that he had in Academy is going to be a big question. But Grapes, I want to talk about this ISU team coming in at seed number 10. Such an incredible showing for them at their first tournament after expectations were understandably low. This is their 5th attempt to make a quarterfinals, and they finally did it.
Yeah, and they looked really good all the way through. Even that series against Ole Miss, they took a game. Cross and Drew Dozer, very strong in that mid jungle specifically. It's the other two teams that I'm a little bit, curious about in terms of some of the committee's thoughts. Abandoned Kittens, although they did make a really big run and they did change their mid laner out, jumped a lot more than maybe some of our other teams did. I'm, wondering how they end up above a team maybe like Wang, who actually won a series against a team like UCI, who's also ahead of Wang. I feel like, I think Wang might be a little bit underrated here, question mark. But, I do think that this Abandoned Kittens team did have some good signs in the Swiss stage. They have a new mid laner, Riverside. Still excited to watch them alongside UCI.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with you. I think UCI, Abandoned Kittens, teams that I'm maybe a little suspect to see at this level, but definitely deserving of a top 16 placing.
Yeah, let's take a look at our 3 quadrants that we filled in so far of the Swiss stage. We just have our top 8 left to announce, and already, Hog, I see a couple of teams here that could make it all the way to semifinals, if not more.
Yeah, there are some real contenders. I think Gentle Hearts and ISU in particular, the teams that I've got my eyes on. Like I said, everything from 11 all the way through to 24 was really difficult for the committee to rank. I think just about everyone had the same teams in the top 10. It was just different ordering between each individual. I know I, for example, had Illinois State a little bit higher, but we've still got a lot of competition to be played.
We made it all the way here. Let's finish the job in our top 8. These are some of the best teams Tier 3 has to offer. All of them definitely have their eyes on making it into the promotion tournament. Let's start things off with our number 8 seed, where we have a brand new team of 5 players playing their first competitive games of 2024 in Fly Family. This team features 3 players who have competed at the Tier 2 level in the last year and a half or so, including their jungler Goo, who may or may not have been on a similarly named team back in 2023. Alongside them is the bot lane of BMFX and Metro, or Skytech as he's also known, who each have had their fair share of success in Tier 2 and 3, with BMFX making it all the way to Academy Finals weekend in 2022 summer. Joining them are solo laners Dinka and Comp9, who have been at the top of Tier 3 and Collegiate in years past, but haven't seen them compete in over a year or so. With tons of history behind them, this family is looking to fly high with a strong OQ2 performance. At number 7, we got a revamped Pulse Star lineup, who are going to retain 60 qualification points going into this second tournament. Jungler Kryra was one of the top performers in a very difficult Group C last OQ, and will be joined by mid laner Reppy, alongside some new additions in bot lane Lunar and Just, who were really strong on third party in 2022, and Shocky, who had a promising rookie year last year with Native and CCG. So Pulse, definitely a team that has promotion on their minds as well. At number 6, we have a little bit of a surprise, with Ole Miss falling all the way down after making it to top 4 after their close series against Winthrop. With Ole Miss running all 5 of their players back once again, their fall to 6 I think is more of an indication of some of the rosters left to come than their individual play, which seemed to get better and better as the tournament went on. They have one of the best bot lanes in the event, with Shogun and Rhino leading the helm, and Ole Miss are going to have to rely on their top side in Stray, Icelandic, and Uncle Sam to keep their consistent play for the Rebels to make their way back into promotion. And just outside of the top 4 is another former semi-finalist in Lotus. After their loss to Aporia last Saturday, Lotus has made some big changes to their team, with Frost4 moving to a coaching position to make way for Maryville's very own Odd Orange, who promoted into the NACL himself in 2023 spring with MU, alongside Robbie Bob, who had an awesome performance on BlackRock last event. With this pairing, joining Porsche, Forsen, and Mixture, this is a revamped Lotus squad, looking to make sure they stay in that top 4 and book their ticket for a chance to compete in the NACL.
And how about this Lotus team? Coming off of a semifinals appearance and now bringing in the best mid laner from the previous tournament in Robbie Bob, a massive addition in the jungle as well, Odd Orange. I think many would say that he has gotten the better of Frost Forest in a lot of their meetings. This is a team, Grapes, I'm in particular very excited about as we can look at the grouping of 4.
Yeah, I think all of these guys have a real good shot of making it up, and all 3 of the 4 of them making either significant roster changes or having a new roster entirely. It is important to note both Lotus and Pulse will retain their qualification points, even though they did change some of their roster around because of the 4 out of 7 rule. But Fly Family specifically, very interesting one with some ex-Academy/NACL talent.
This Fly Family team is going to be a weird one to watch for sure. We don't really know what to expect just given that none of these players played in the last split, whereas Lotus, Ole Miss, Polestar at least running back a good portion of the rosters that they had last time. But Grapes, I believe it is time for the moment that you have all been waiting for. The 4 teams looking to stand above the rest alone at the top of the table as they vie for a 5-0 start en route to a potential appearance in the promotion tournament. First up, we have number 4 seed Team Fish Taco. If you can't beat them, join them is the mantra of this team after an incredibly disappointing first tournament. TFT has decided to get the band back together by bringing in Tony Top and Amazo, hoping to recreate the magic of Dewey and Tony Top from spring 2023, a roster that ended TFT's promotion run that split. With the Prince of Promotion Sudsy in the mid, as well as bottom laner Levitate continuing to hold things down, this is a team that wants to prove that magic is real and nothing stands between them in the promotion tournament one more time. Our number 3 seed is another roster that some might call a super team, as CCG has also made sweeping changes coming into this tournament. In this case, it's headlined by the prodigal son Bradley making his return to North America and the middle lane here in Tier 3. Alongside him is the talented young jungler Yukino, formerly of 100 Thieves Challengers and amongst the MVP finalists of 2023 spring. With Instinct next to Trevor in the bottom lane and number 1 NACLQ Crimson up top, CCG has their eyes on not just a 5-0 start, but an NACL Qualifier trophy. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, then Winthrop University might just be the strongest of them all, despite narrowly falling short in yet another extremely tense grand final. There is no denying the talent level on this squad, with every single one of their players being in the conversation for best in role and exceptional team play across the board. The Eagles will stop at nothing to soar above the rest and shake the chip on their shoulder that's been with them since last summer as this tournament's number 2 seed. And now, sitting at the number 1 seed and the favorite to win this second qualifier tournament and a spot in summer promotion, it is your previous champions, Blue Otter. Despite playing under a new banner, this championship winning roster remains the same, hoping to capitalize on the same exceptional team fighting that pushed them past Winthrop last week. Young mid laner Samakin has been a standout amongst a team filled with experienced carries, making waves and blasting holes in teams with picks such as his signature Zoe and a Game 5 Lux. Music and Lynx are equally capable of putting on massive carry performances, creating a formidable 3-headed Hydra that is more than enough to handle most teams in the tournament. When supported by the ever-consistent top laner Lawrence and shot-calling support Rovex, will any challengers be able to topple the champs?
We'll say, Hawk, a lot of challengers here as we have our top 4 teams seeded. Man, look at the jump. Look at these crazy new teams that we have here. We got the entire Tony Top roster basically coming back. They got their coach Jito playing support here for this weekend, who, you know, was the one who coached them all the way up there. He's a very high-level player himself. That's going to be a really exciting roster to follow. And man, let's talk about this CCG team again here, Hawk. Yukino, Bradley, and Instinct all joining the squad. I mean, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, this CCG team and Team Fish Taco, the goal is clear. Win this tournament, and what happened in Tournament 1 does not matter. The level of experience, particularly on that CCG. Bradley, he will not be playing this weekend, is still in Korea. We'll have Flocon, who was more than capable in the last tournament, as we saw. But once he returns, he will be the starting mid laner, and I think that is going to be a spectacle to watch, the return to mid lane. And Grapes, I mean, the other two teams, it's just our finalists from last tournament. Yep. We have so much to look forward to here in this second qualifier. And Grapes, I know you got the chance to sit down with a couple of players that are going to be competing and get their thoughts on what they're looking forward to in this episode of the NACL Q&A.
Hi, my name's Ethan. I play jungle and I'm playing on Team Fish Taco.
I am Shocky. I am on Team Pulse as their top laner.
My name is Ryan, or Shorter Ace. I'm the jungler for the team Phoenix 5.
I'm the Odd Orange, and this OQ2 I'll be playing with Lotus.
I started playing competitively in my first tournament during the expansion tournament for LCS in 2014.
I ended up playing back competitively in like season 7, 8, 9. Echo Fox Academy, Team Liquid Academy.
I think my favorite memories were probably when I was on Native, my first split. We had Fnatic and we also had Rhino, veterans that like just taught me a lot about the game. I was like really clueless when I like played comp when I first started. They like taught me all of that when I was Native.
I played in the first open qualifier for the NACL with Team Tony Top. We did pretty well, and when we were in the promotion tournament, we promoted, but weren't able to like stick together as a team.
I joined Maryville to compete at their collegiate team. Spring, we won both of the OQs, qualified for NACL by beating Team Liquid, and then I played in NACL over the summer with Maryville, summer split.
I was playing for HU. I graduated that semester of spring 23, transitioning to a full-time job. I took a break, I'm back, I'm grinding. League's very fun right now. This last semester I was playing on Maryville's collegiate team, so wasn't able to compete in the OQ. So yeah, I'm just running it back with the boys, just here to have a good time.
For OQ1, we were like supposed to make a team and play. Things like didn't really work, so I really wanted to play like just one lunar, and then I also had a lot of free time to play.
All my friends are at Maryville and like are on the team, you know, so I really like being around all the guys that are competing in NACL and like feeling integrated within the program. And when I'm competing in OQs, I'm playing more solo queue, I'm around the lab more, the esports lab. It feels good to like be competing, even if it's not for a Maryville team.
I feel like overall the OQ got weaker. All the good players kind of already promoted into NACL, so I don't see why we can't do just as well or better this time.
I sit around and I watch Maryville scrims all day, so when I watched Winthrop and Ole Miss and even Aporia, it's like they definitely look pretty bad comparably to NACL teams.
In 2023, like we were scrimming Tony Top a lot, and me and Tony Top would just like be 10-0 one game. Like I would be 10-0 and he would be like 10-0 the next game, and we'd just take turns through that time. Yeah.
I'd say the two teams I'm most excited to play against would be Nate's team, Odd Orange. Played a lot against each other, and I've known him for a really long time too. And also playing against Winthrop. I think they'll be a fun team to play against too.
I'm excited to play versus Music because I think he's a fun jungler to play versus. I'm always excited to play versus Winthrop. I always enjoy trying to take them down.
I always like playing against Winthrop because they're really good right now. I'm not really looking out for anyone else. I just want to play some fun games.
I think we have like really strong players, and as long as the vibes are good, I don't know if anyone's going to be like feeling too pressured, just gonna try our best, I guess.
I hope we at least get top 4. Sandflame and Lycomos have had issues qualifying for the qualifier itself, and then Baesby and Detro usually make a deeper run, like a top 8, top 4. So I want to at least aim for the top 4 when it comes to the qualifier.
Just One is one of like the best supports in OQ, and I think everyone else on like the team is really good as well. And I think we can make a deep run.
I hope our roster can mesh together and find some groove and then like really compete versus these teams.
Thank you very much to Shorter Ace, Odd Orange, Amazo, and Shocky for sitting down and talking to us. A lot of attention towards Winthrop. They think that they're going to be a team that's fun to play against all of them, so we'll see if they get that opportunity. As once again, let's take a look at just the full 32 seeds so we can just take a look and analyze what exactly those look like here right now. We got 1 to 32. Again, Blue Otter, who is now Aporia or who was formerly Aporia, at the top of the standings. What do we think about this in general, Hawk?
I mean, I think that this top 10 looks insane, and this top 6 looks super insane. The race for those 4 semifinal slots and those all-important additional championship points, I think is going to be absolutely brutal, because you can see Lotus and Ole Miss both appearing in the top 4 last tournament, actually outside of the top 4 here in the seeding. Now, only by a couple positions, and the seeding is only really for the open qualifiers, but it really can come into play, you know, later on when you get into the GSL seeding. And I think this Lotus roster in particular, I mean, they made, in my opinion, Grapes, some upgrades with Odd Orange, and especially Robbie Bob coming into the mid lane. So it's surprising, and I think to see them here, and I really think it just speaks to the strength of the CCG and TFT roster.
And again, something that's important to note is that CCG and TFT have retained the points that they got in the last event. However, a quarterfinals appearance and then like a not even making quarterfinals appearance basically means that you have to like finish top 2, if not win the entire tournament, in order to have a chance at promotion. And while these are 2 teams that definitely have the potential to do so, they're, you know, they have a lot of pressure going into this event, because, you know, with the way the points work, first place is kind of a requirement for both of them, and there's only one spot up there at the top. Meanwhile, other teams like Blue Water and Winthrop and even Ole Miss can afford to, like, you know, finish top 4, maybe even top 8 if things go super wild, and, you know, still be in a good position.
And I think these open qualifier performances are going to really be important as well, because if we're in a situation like we had last time around, where we have some of our top teams randomly dropping 3-2s, all of a sudden you can get into situations in which the groups become imbalanced, and that opens a whole can of worms as well. So this top 6 gonna be, gonna need to be at the top of their game and making sure they are clean. But Graves, let's not ignore the rest of the soup here. We already talked about this. The middle of the pack is so tight, and there's only so many spots for these teams to grab.
Yeah, let's take a look at what the round 1 matchups are going to look like here for Swiss. Of course, 1 plays 32, etc., until you get to 16 playing 17. And then after that, teams with the same record are going to be playing against each other the whole way through, with, of course, seeding being the tiebreaker in terms of figuring out who plays against what other team. And Hawk, we do have a match of the week, or at least a match of this round 1 that we specifically want to have our eyes on going into this Swiss stage. And that is the 16 versus 17 matchup in BlackRock Esports versus Phoenix 5. A lot of well-known players on this team. You have BlackRock, who made some changes. Phoenix 5 coming in as a brand new roster. And, you know, this could be the difference maker, this one game, in terms of who makes it or not.
Yeah, I know it's easy to say, hey, 16, 17, closest in seeding, going to be most exciting round 1 matchup, right? But this BlackRock roster looks a lot different than what was relative dominance despite the early exit in quarters for them. And on the other side, Phoenix 5, I mean, come on, it's a shorter race team. You know, there's always a shorter race team that is seated in the middle and then somehow does really well a lot of the time. So I think this one could definitely be a huge test of both these teams early on. You know, it's so hard to pick a match of the week when there's not really that much to speak of. Yeah, we don't know most of the matchups, but this one could tell us a lot. But Grapes, we also took the time to reach out to some of the other committee members, and we got a chance to ask them about what teams they thought were underseeded, overseeded, and what team they think is just going to be a straight up wild card, because of course everyone has their own opinions about the teams. So let's see first what teams the committee thought were overseeded. These are teams that were seeded higher than what the committee thought they potentially deserve. Grapes, I see. Oh, a doubter on the Abandoned Kittens.
Okay, I'm not necessarily a doubter on them. When the ballots go live, you'll see I had them right around that like 13, 14 spot. And I think the reason I think they're maybe potentially overseeded in a way is just because of the fact that it seems like there's a big clump right in the center from like 12 to 20, where I felt like all of them kind of were very close to each other, and I wanted to stick them all around that like 15 to 17 range or so. But obviously you can't do that, and so one team ends up towards the top, that team being the Abandoned Kittens. And, you know, I think that they have a lot of strong players. They made a really strong Swiss run, but we didn't see enough of them in the group stage to I don't necessarily say that they deserve that big of a jump. But then again, it just goes down to which other players and which other teams you think could potentially be better.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think I kind of agree with that wavelength. I'm sort of with you and Yanni as well on the UCI. I think these teams should have been in the top 16, maybe not at 11 and 12. I think Sean saying that Clown Gaming is overseeded at 20, even though they made top 16 last time, if anything, maybe a little underseeded. I don't know. I actually had them at 20 exactly on my ballot. And then Castleberry, I've just got to say, I don't know what it is about this roster. I just think a lot of these players have been at this level before and feels like a 2-3 angle for me, and I don't know if they're going to crack into that top echelon. Great, so let's move on now to the teams that we think are underseeded. Enough doom and gloom. Let's gas up some teams. These ones should have been rated higher, and I don't even know what the Elmo logo is. What team is that?
So, yeah, the Elmo logo, well, I don't know if that's even technically allowed, but that is Benefactor's Revenge, which is the team with Danny Burrito and Excelsis. And I think this team very much could end up in the top 16 and have a really strong run. I specifically remember Smalls' run on a team back in 2023 that he looked really good on these like hyper-aggressive bot laners, and I think this team's going to facilitate him very, very well. I think them alongside like Nigel's Last Tiles are teams that we were a little bit confused as to where to put them because of maybe just like some newer players coming in. As Sean suggested, they also are a team that could be underseeded.
Yeah, definitely. I think Colomer having Team Pulse as the underseeded as well. Him and Taki in my DMs saying that Lunar and Just One are the guys. Shocky clearly seemed to believe it as well in the interview. So who knows? Maybe we're wrong about Pulse, and maybe they're just that damn good. I've got to say, I think ISU's way too low at 10, though. They played so well in the last tournament. I had them all the way up at 7. I think this team is a clear contender for top 8.
Well, let's take a look at who we think are the wild cards of the group as well, because there's always that team that we think they could miss the tournament. They could also go 5-0 entirely. And there's a lot of us that think the same thing here. Fly Family have a lot of players that have been around, but maybe haven't seen them super recently. And, the talent's definitely there. We just got to see them prove it first.
Yeah, really quick, let me talk about the two outliers maybe. Phoenix 5. I think this is a good shout. Again, a shorter race team, always potentially underseeded. You never know what to expect. Baz and Dieter, I think, a really strong bottom lane as well. BlackRock, I think, is an interesting shot for Sean. These are the two teams right in the middle, and I do think they could both go either way. I think a big thing for BlackRock is going to come down to whether or not Sushi in the ADC position lives up to the hype. But yeah, Bly Fam, I mean, this team is, anytime there's a Dinka Goo team, Grapes, I think we're either thinking they could go 0-5 or 5-0.
I mean, definitely possible. I mean, they're all very solid players.
They're all very solid.
We haven't seen, it's been like, either a split, as recently as a split for SkyTech or Metro, I should say, at the support position, to even like a year plus for some of these other players in terms of seeing them in competition. And so just need to see them prove it to us first. And then once they make it in the GSL stage, I think a lot of us are going to have maybe some higher opinions of them. But in terms of where you can watch all these games, Hawk, once again, games are going to be starting Saturday and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You play 2 games on day 1, 3 games on day 2, with eventually the teams that have won 3 or more out of those 5 qualifying in to the GSL stage starting on March 2nd. And in terms of where you can find these games happening, this is a little bit different in that games will be live this time around, where both community streams and POV streams will be enabled here for OQ and beyond.
Yeah. And make sure you catch all those POV streams. Make sure you catch all of those community streams, because we are finally going to have live coverage of the Open Qualifiers. I know that's something the community has wanted, and we are counting down the weeks until the promotion tournament. 6 weeks away, and the championship points are going to be so very impactful. We talked about how competitive that top 6 is, and even some of the teams outside. You saw all the people having the wild card listed as Fly Family. Some teams maybe could jump up and play spoilers just to throw a wrench in the works. But Grapes, this is normally the point at which we would toss it over to the top 5, but we don't have a top 5 this week. We're actually going to send the show out just a little bit early, as we have a video ready to go for you all. A bit of a moments and memories video, so we can reflect on how far we came here in tournament number 1 and talk about all the great things that have happened. But before we get there, I do want to take a moment to thank Rally Cry and Riot for having us on the LCS Challengers every single week here for Tier 3 tonight. We'll be back next week with the Open Qualifiers action at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, just as we always are. Also want to give out a shout out to our ever rock solid production team, Cyanidance and Camcom, for making all of our graphics, making us look so great on VMix, and doing everything that we could not, because this entire show would definitely not be possible without them. But from all of us here at Tier 3 tonight, we've still got a whole nother tournament to cover. So much great action, and we'll be with you every step of the way. I've been Hawk, that's been Grapes. I hope you all have a great night, and I hope you enjoy tournament number 1, Moments and Memories. And welcome everybody to the very first episode of Tier 3 Tonight, a brand new show for 2024 that will be bringing you the all-encompassing coverage of the LCS Challengers League qualifiers in 90 minutes. My name is, of course, Hawk, and joining me is my amazing partner in crime, co-host, and all-around right-hand man, Grapes.
Okay, look, I've been on a mission to the top, and when I get there, it's gonna go down. Lapping the competition, why they telling us to slow down? Come for it all, no, that ain't enough just to go round. Waking up the sleepers, if you ain't know, well, man, you know now, yeah. I'm not your average guy, we set that bar too high. There's more than monetary differences between you and I. Hey, this the squad that you don't wanna meddle with. You know we take it higher, we ain't never settling. Come on, hold up, cause I'm going in. You know what it is. I be on my level, I be on my level. Can't touch me now, I be on my level. Pull up, all I do is win. You know what it is. I be on my level, I be on my level. Can't touch me now, I be on my level. Hey, we be about to go off. These boys ain't got no sauce. On the winning streak, I promise we ain't taking no loss. We ain't got nothing in common, you and I. Money keep falling like stars out the sky. Take it easy, hey, they don't believe me. We on another wave, like we ain't hearing what he say. Yeah, they talking trash, you can put it in the garbage. When they know you rap the hardest, you gon' always be a target. Yeah, I put that on my mama. We ain't down for the drama. Keep on adding the commas, the numbers is getting longer. Yeah, I told you, homie, we ain't nothing to meddle with. We just broke the knob, going to another level, yeah. Okay, hold up, cause I'm going in. You know what it is. I be on my level, I be on my level. Can't touch me now, I be on my level. Pull up, all I do is win. You know what it is. I be on my level, I be on my level. Can't touch me now, I be on my level. 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 Hold up, cause I'm going in. You know what it is. I be on my level. I be on my level. Can't touch me now, I be on my level. Pull up, all I do is win. You know what it is. I be on my level, I be on my level. Can't touch me now, I be on my level. Bye.